after birth. After birth, if you look at the
oh
former
shit,
governor of
wait,
Virginia,
hold
he
on.
was willing to do this. He
Wait, hold
put
on.
the baby aside, and we'll determine what we do with the baby. Meaning, we'll kill the baby.
Biden on 1 HP.
We brought it back to the states, and the country is now.
Biden might fuck around and freak on some of y'all niggas.
Thank you.
Y'all gonna think he lacking.
It's been a terrible thing what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional
Oh Jesus, lung finna
scholars
fall out.
when it was decided.
Hold on, I gotta watch the debate with somebody. I gotta get to watch party with somebody.
This idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the
Let me move
guy
my
who
camera.
says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks you don't even know whether you're pregnant.
Man, I wanna watch it with somebody.
See that and have him decide on what your circumstances are.
These lover niggas playing Roblox, bro. They're fucking losers. I actually don't like these niggas like that.
We're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so
Midas, are you playing Roblox with them niggas?
including a young woman who just
No.
was murdered.
So you're watching the presidential debate with
At the
me?
funeral. And the idea that she was murdered.
You wanna watch the
by-
presidential debate?
by an immigrant coming in to
Yeah, I'm gonna share my
talk
screen.
about that. But here's the deal.
Okay.
There's a lot of young women are being raped by their
Oba.
in-laws, by their
We gotta
by
say,
their spouses,
every time somebody gets
brothers
cooked.
and sisters.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And they
Sleepy
can do
Joe's
nothing
talking,
about
so when that
it.
nigga's
And they
talking,
try
we
to
gotta
arrest them
like.
across state lines.
Thank you.
Oh my.
There have been many young
got arrested
women
in Sleepy.
murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. Consider the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he
looks
opened it up,
AFK,
and these
bro.
killers are coming
Bro,
into
chill,
our
he locked
country,
in, bro.
and they are raping and killing
Opa.
women.
He's talking about your
And it's
people.
a
He's talking about your
terrible
people.
thing. As far as the abortion's concerned, it is
he's
now
not.
back with the
He's
states.
talking
The
about
states are
Central
voting.
Asians.
In many cases,
What are you talking about?
It's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's
Who you
the
talking about
opposite.
there?
But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which
Who
is
you talking
what
about?
everybody wanted,
my people.
including the founders, if they knew about
Okay.
this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted it brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted
keep it a bean.
Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states. I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states.
Both these niggas low-key
have
helped me
no
out.
Legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion.
Body nigga help
Do
me
you support
help my
any
family with their
legal
student loans,
limits on how late
and that
a
Trump
woman
nigga
can
help my
be-
peoples with their COVID loans.
She had 3 trimesters. First time is between the woman
With
and
them
the doctor.
stimmies.
Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor. Between the woman and the state.
With the
The idea
PPPs.
that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. It's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making that
Simi
decision.
ain't do shit.
That's how it should
Shit.
be run.
My homeboys are
That's
broke.
what you're gonna do.
Ain't do shit for
And
me.
if
I
I'm
ain't get
I'm
shit.
going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth.
That's
Again,
tough.
the former governor of
crazy.
Virginia.
I ain't gonna
put the
lie.
baby
After
down
birth
and
is
will
crazy.
decide what to do with it.
After
What?
birth
So
is
he's
crazy.
willing to,
9th
as
month
he
is
said,
crazy.
rip
I ain't
the
gonna
baby
cap.
out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby.
But I'm for
Nobody
abortion.
wants
I ain't
that
gonna
to
lie.
happen. Democrat
But 9th month
or
is crazy.
Republican, nobody
I'll say
wants it to
like
happen.
3 months. Tight shit. A
Simply
month,
not
2 months,
true.
some shit.
But Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? In fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected.
You know what's
and the
crazy?
MAGA Republicans
What I realized with
come
these
to
presidents?
and they pass a universal ban.
Whoever's president at the time, when it's time for the next nigga, like the young niggas, like my chat and the other Reddit, they're just tired of it. Like, yo, this nigga didn't do shit. Get the next nigga in here. Like, I remember Trump was president, and towards the end of the term, everybody literally vote. All my chat, everybody wanted this Biden nigga to win. Now that Biden's president, they don't want this nigga to win no more.
Have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch.
He almost took us to
Overwhelming
war.
border states and overwhelming cities such as New York and
You know what's
Chicago,
crazy,
and in
Josh?
some cases causing real
You're about to be
safety
too old to
and
get
security
drafted.
concerns.
I know.
Given
So I don't
that,
give a
why
fuck.
should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Either one of these
We worked
ones can
very
take us
hard
to
to
war,
get a
bro.
bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure
Yo,
that
Chad, y'all
we
are
were in a
fucked. I
situation
forgot.
you had no circumstance where they could come across.
But that's
the
been
border
a thing, though.
with the
We
number
know that,
of
right?
Border police there are now.
It's not
They
new.
significantly increased the number of
Yeah.
asylum officers.
course.
Significantly, by the way, the Border Patrol endorsed
But
me.
didn't Russia declare
endorsed
war
my
on us?
position. In addition to that, we found
That shit
ourselves in a
ain't happening.
situation where, when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where
They said they don't fuck with us?
40% fewer people
Who don't fuck with us?
coming across the border illegally.
Russia.
It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative.
Oh, no.
relative to
They're gonna
what
make
we're
memes
doing,
on this nigga. Oh, my
more
God.
Border
Nigga
Patrol,
just stuttered.
More asylum officers.
Yo, I hate the way this nigga
I
talk.
don't know what he said at the end of that sentence.
Oh my God, he going with the memes. Oh my God.
We had the safest border in the history of our
Oh
country.
my God, bro. He going with the
What
memes,
is
All he
it?
had to do
bro.
was
Like
leave
that.
it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according
He's
to
saying that
Border
Mexicans
Patrol,
is
who
rapists. Close
great,
them
and by the
borders.
way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the
That's what he's
safest
saying.
border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank you,
caravans.
President Trump.
Fried and
President
fried.
Biden.
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three under his administration, killed an Al Qaeda person come in
Yo, this
his
nigga- oh,
administration.
Oh my, this nigga's so old. This nigga's so
I'm not gonna lie,
Kill three
respectfully, bro.
American
That
soldiers.
that
That's
literally
the only
can't be our
terrorist
president for 4 more years.
I'm
It
not
can't.
saying that no terrorist ever got through with that.
The guy's a puppet
They're
at this
emptying their
point.
prisons.
He's
We're
cooked.
welcoming these people. That's
He's the
simply
walking
not true.
shell.
There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating. He's
Bro, here's the thing. This nigga could be speaking facts and nobody's gonna give a
Staying
fuck
on
because this nigga look like a zombie.
You've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the
He
largest...
could be speaking facts, but the memes will prevail.
Unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi
Both of these guys are
and
cooked, bro.
Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York.
Yeah,
in
that's facts.
California,
You know
in
Trump ass
every
old as fuck too,
state
right?
in the
Them
union,
niggas damn
because
near.
we don't have borders.
How old is Trump? But the thing
There's
is,
now a border.
Trump is
And because
highly
of his
functional. I ain't gonna lie.
ridiculous,
So it's like it's not really like an age
insane,
thing. It's like, are you a
policies,
functional thing?
People are coming in and they're
Trump
killing
age.
our citizens at
Trump
a
is
level that we've never
78.
seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden.
Joe
migrant
Biden
crime.
age.
They're killing
81.
our citizens at a level that we've never seen before.
They're
and
3
you're
years
reading
apart.
it like these 3 incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and they just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, or we have to get them out fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on
my
the
God,
streets.
Hassan's
They're dying
dick is
because
probably
he doesn't care about
so
our
hard right
veterans.
now.
He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all, and he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by
Thank you,
allowing
President Trump.
all of these people to come in.
President
and it's a
Biden.
very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where
I wish he wasn't
we have great
stuttering,
respect
bro.
for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits. Came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Oh, shit.
President Trump?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this.
He said,
Who
"You're
would
the
say
loser."
I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing to your side who was on your staff who said you said it, period.
He said,
That's
she
number
said.
one.
Oh, yeah.
And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history.
Oh,
American
shit.
history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right, thank you so much.
Oh, shit.
The topic of foreign policy.
Oh,
I want to
shit.
begin
Alright.
with Russia's war
Alright,
against Ukraine,
Sleepy.
which is now in its third year.
Nigga said Jay
Former
Future
President Trump,
clone.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll
Oh my God.
only
I
end
gonna lie.
this war
I gonna
if
lie.
Russia
Trump
keeps
might go
the
crazy with the
Ukrainian
Ukraine.
territory
Oh, yeah,
it has
he might go
already
crazy.
claimed, and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that
If
we've
that's
ever
what
had.
you
They
call
can't
him.
stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far
yeah,
as
he's wild.
Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, a president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double
Oh, wait,
those
why-
numbers.
why
maybe
Joe
triple those
activated?
numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the
Why you lie about
incompetence,
the
that
past?
he should have fired those generals like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost. But he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind, too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran
What
out
is
of money.
Joe
They
doing?
were
He
broke.
writing
They had
down
no
notes.
money for
He
Hamas.
locked in.
They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my
Israel got
administration.
invaded?
This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
What the fuck?
President Biden?
I've never heard
Wait,
something
hold on,
like
Joe.
that in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is,
Joe,
we're in a
lock in.
situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops cause brain damage for a number of these troops.
They're gonna say he got
and he
brain
did
damage.
nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president. They attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is.
Oh,
he didn't
shit.
do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I
as
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question.
I never
which is,
said that.
Are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the
No, they're
territory
not
in Ukraine.
acceptable. No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, and by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East.
Yo, I ain't gonna
In
lie.
October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and
Look at that
taking
at this
hundreds
point.
of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans.
Good wording.
Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council,
Jesus
straight
Christ.
through the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself, have endorsed the plan I put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas. Number one, they're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened in Israel? We're finding the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt.
Yo, Josh.
One
The fuck? What?
Are you Team Hamas or Team Israel, bruh?
Saved Israel.
Team whatever the fuck you're not on, buddy. Get out of here.
Of support for Israel of anyone in the world.
Team Hamas,
and
bro.
so they're 2 different things.
Wayne,
Hamas
bad
cannot
chats, bro.
be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened Hamas, greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for what using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us.
Well, I need to ask my
The
chat a question
European
real quick.
nations
Chat,
together
does Hamas
have
equal
spent 100
Palestine? Let me see
billion,
something.
or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen.
why Wayne just
They
I
wouldn't
know,
have any.
bro.
They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is
Wayne
Hamas.
came here
Actually,
chatting.
Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
Oh, shit.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. Are you going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean, but we're ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about.
I'm seeing. Are y'all?
Nations around the world
Okay.
to support
Who
Ukraine,
y'all
including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this is
Well, we're locked in sleep with Joe Biden. We can't be talking what he's talking about.
Threat to the whole
He
world.
too quiet.
No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question, would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time. And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months.
Answer the question,
now
nigga.
We're in the same position.
You know
We're
how we
paying
go.
everybody's
Thank you.
bills.
Let's turn to the issue of
you ducked it
democracy.
twice.
Bro, he don't answer. He be talking
I
around
want to ask you
questions.
about January 6, 2021.
He be
After you
talking
rallied
around
your
questions,
supporters
bro,
that day,
every time.
Some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What happened to
Who was
the
in the
United
debate chat?
States'
These two?
reputation under this
And
man's
Obama.
leadership
1v1v1.
is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm
Obama's
sure at some
articulate,
point
bro.
you'll be talking about,
Still young
where he goes
compared to
after his
these guys.
political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to
Obama could
those
debate
voters
chat.
who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say
Nigga
that
said,
to
"Fuck that."
anybody.
Answer the question.
I said peacefully and patriotically.
"Fuck that."
And
Answer the
Nancy
question.
Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor of, in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it, too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours. 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots. And,
hey, Trump low-key like that shit.
Patrons of America.
Trump low-key like that shit, bro. I'm not going to let anybody change history. I remember that time, bro.
They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. He went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court, and they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done.
Hate when
to
this
do
nigga
a
talks,
damn
bro.
thing.
Jesus Christ.
And these people should be in jail, and they should be the ones that are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are
Bro,
so
I'm not
innocent.
gonna lie.
You ought to
I
be
wish
ashamed
Joe
of
Biden was a
yourself.
good talker,
What you
bro.
have done, how you've
Oh my
destroyed
God.
the
Wait, this
lives
nigga,
of
talk, this
so
nigga
many
talks like he's
people.
about to die, bro.
When
Bro,
they
literally,
ripped
bro.
He
down
was 10 years
Portland, when
younger,
they
bro.
ripped down
Nigga dead talk like an anime
many
character on
other
his deathbed
cities.
saying
You
they
go to
last speech, bro.
Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires
old,
all
bro.
over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now, out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now.
Oh,
And the fact of the
shit.
matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots? Come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be
shit.
convicted probably numerous
His
other
son
times.
is
Should have been
his son is
convicted
fucking
before, but his
terrible,
Justice
bro.
Department let the statute of limitations lapsed, and the most important thing. But he
Why
could
would
be
he
a
go?
convicted
This nigga loud
felon
as
as soon as
fuck.
he
Who
gets
said
out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death
Well,
cause
why
at
everybody
the
got
border,
bad skeletons, bro?
telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the
Billion.
prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor, having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President
Type
Biden,
shit.
you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to